Welcome back to Malaka Motorsports. I'm Stav, and today we're going to be starting the wiring harness for my B5 A4 VR6. Now, we opted to buy a separate harness so that we could start wiring the car. We didn't want to modify the harness that was already in the car because that was already a modified harness. And since we're changing so much, we thought it'd be better just to start with a brand new harness so we'll have no issues. Well, hopefully no issues. But as you guys remember, we wired the VRS3 and the Stav ECU. We didn't really get into depth about that harness because basically it was all trial and error. At the time, I didn't have the knowledge I have today, and because obviously every day you're still learning. That was my first attempt of ever wiring anything. I didn't want to show you guys information that basically was either wrong, didn't end up working, and we didn't complete the project, because it was kind of like hey, if we can get it done, it's great. Now that the car has 3,000 miles, we calibrate everything, it's working, the dash is working perfectly. I feel more comfortable taking on the challenge of trying to wire my 22-year-old bucket. Yep, and I do call my 12-valve a bucket because it is. All these swap cars are all buckets at the end of the day. They're all, clusterfucks. I want to show you guys what we're going to be changing and get more in depth with the wiring and show you exactly what we're going to do. So in case you guys want to follow, hopefully you don't listen to me because I don't know what I'm doing. So as you guys remember from the last video, we are switching to ECUMaster Black. We are, switching up a lot of different parts on this of this setup. We're getting away from the VEMs ECU, no longer relevant, along with the old Waste Spark Bosch MotorSports coil pack, which ran for all the way up to 50 pounds of boost. I had literally no issues with this setup. So I mean, this is just something that we wanted to upgrade while we're doing everything, because running a Waste Spark over to the new R8 coil packs, which we are able to run sequential, we're able to fine tune the car, possibly run a hotter spark, and also be able to individually fire each cylinder versus firing in a batch fire of each couple cylinders like the old setup was. As you guys see, it's also a lot cleaner. We can definitely clean the setup versus having all the wires, spark plug wires, running across the top of the valve cover. And it's just, these are very cheap. I think these are like $21 on Rock Auto. Here's the part number. I don't know if you guys can see it, but if you guys ask, we'll definitely put it up. If you guys remember, we are also running these coil packs on the VRS3. Overseas, guys have made 1,300 wheel on these coil packs. They're $21 a piece. They're a factory coil pack. So one thing that's nice about using factory parts a lot of times is the quality stays consistent versus using an aftermarket coil. And these works. I can go to a local auto parts store and have them here tomorrow. This car does not make 1,300 wheel because it's a 24 valve, but we do plan on pushing even more boost and timing with this setup, hopefully more than 3 degrees. One thing I really like about the ECU Black is they give you this pinout in the box, so you don't have to go online, find the pinout. I notice a lot of aftermarket ECUs don't give you a pinout. You have to look online. This is nice to have something in reference while you're wiring versus keep going to a laptop and getting that laptop dirty. They also sell a flying lead harness, which I did purchase. It's kind of nice that they come pre-crimped. Just have to cut the lengths for whatever you end up needing. But that's a nice thing. We're going to go to a 4.9 LSU's O2 sensor. These are a lot more consistent versus the 4.2 that I used. We're going to be wiring in the EGT to CAN also in this video, and then we're going to be running the Bluetooth module for the Android tablet that we plan on using. Another thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be switching from drive-by cable to a drive-by wire setup, which is really nice. So we'll have the consistencies and also be allowed to add a lot more safeties in the ECU for everything that we plan on changing. Now, in the original video that we made for the VRS3, we didn't really get into all the wiring and specifics. We kind of showed you some broad spectrum, but on this video I really do want to show you guys more of the technical aspect, stuff that I learned along the way, because again, when we did the original VRS3, we didn't anticipate to actually get it working. That's one thing. We didn't really know if it was going to work. Now that we have 3,000 miles on the setup, we have over 3,000 miles on the setup. Basically, we know everything works. The dash works fully intact. I feel more confident in showing you guys and learning along with you guys. So let's start wiring, and I can start getting into what exactly what harness we're going to use and why we picked that route. Guys, so what we have here today is a factory 1.8T B5 harness from the same year car that I have, manual as well. The reason we're going with this harness over, let's say, just like a custom race mil-spec loom is because we want the car to connect into the factory harness to get the same power leads probes that we had before. And but what we won't be using, obviously, is we're not going to be reusing any of this wiring, even though it's in really good shape. I mean, the connectors look like they're in great shape. There's no issues with them. We're going to be completely redoing it, adding new wiring to this whole setup, and then you know, basically only thing we'll be using from, let's say, where the ECU connects is the power and ground, which will connect into the EMU black. And then after that, all new power leads will be ran for the, you know, coil packs, for the injectors, the flex fuel sensor, because that takes a 12-volt source. And none of this will be reused, but overall it's in really good shape. Thank you to our buddy Nolan in Freeport. He ended up getting this sent over to me within like 2-3 days, so that was really nice. And it ends up being in great shape. I mean, you look at this, you know, for being 20+ years old, it doesn't seem to be fraying anywhere like a lot of these harnesses tend to be. I know a lot of B5 S4 guys, because of all the heat, because of the 2 turbos, you know, these wires are cracking, breaking, brittle. You have rats that touch them, but this overall is a really good harness to start out with, so I'm really lucky. A lot of things we're going to be eliminating, like, for example, these 2 connectors go to for the cluster for oil pressure sender, and then the coolant sender, which obviously we're not going to be running the cluster anymore. We're going to be going to an Android style cluster, and you know, we won't be needing those. So we're going to be eliminating a lot of stuff from the harness. So instead of eliminating and cutting, we're just going to completely take it off and start from scratch. So let's see how this goes, guys. Let's start depinning. Guys, as you see, I've been depinning this harness for the last like 30 minutes. That's all the connectors I got off so far. A bunch of we want to show this little toolkit. Some, you know, people ask, how do we remove the pins? And I bought this off Amazon. It's a 23-piece terminal release tool set. If anybody wants the link or anything, I've been using this for the VRS3 and now this harness. And, you know, for the most part, you don't end up using most of these. You know, most of these are, because some of these are for Ford, Chevy, different type of pins, you know, pins that we never will use on our Volkswagens. For the most part, use 3 or 4, but I mean, it's very nice. It comes in a nice molded case. I like it. I mean, I was able to remove all these old connectors without breaking a single one. Definitely a nice item. But yeah, we basically got about 60% of the harness unpinned, and we took all the heat shielding off. A lot of these wires look brand new, man. I mean, I know this harness is supposed to be older and, you know, not as good as like a new harness, but man, for a 25-year-old harness, you know, like all the wires are in very good shape. So yeah, let's continue on. Just wanted to give you guys a little update. And I know a lot of people were asking me about this toolkit the last time, and I never showed it. But yeah, Amazon Prime, bought this about 35 bucks. Good deal. What's the name? If you guys want the link, you know, DM us and I'll send you the link. Ended up removing all the sheathing on the old harness. And let me say this 22-year-old harness literally looks as good as the Artis 3 harness does coming out. Actually, in some ways, it's better because some of the Artis 3 harness had some rubbing and some, you know, wires that were dry rotted, and that was only a 3-year-old harness. This is a 22-year-old harness, and literally, it's brand new. So I'm really happy about that. I mean, this is a really nice harness. I end up finding the power for the ECU, which is this blue wire here. This is the 12-volt ignition. We have the ground. We have the sensor powers right here, all for the 5 volts for all the sensors. We have the sensor ground right here. I'm going to end up not really reusing most of this. I'm going to end up removing all these wires and going with the complete new harness with EMU black. Even though these wires look brand new and there's probably no issues with them, and, you know, probably safe to say it's okay to reuse them, I'd rather go with a whole new, you know, wiring, and we'll never have worry about short to ground, because everything is, you know, up to their spec, their quality, and, you know, the wires are pre-crimped on the EMU black side. So that's going to be it for today's video. If there's something you guys want to see while we go through this process of completely wiring up my B5, please let me know in the comments below. If something you don't want to see, let's say like George, He's not in this video. He's not backed by popular demand. Let us know in the comments. I want to show you guys as much as possible, but sometimes I feel like maybe it's a little boring for you guys. But I know a lot of people have been DMing us, emailing us, and telling us they want to see this or maybe some DIY videos. Let us know what you guys think. Appreciate you guys watching today, and on to the next video. In the next video, probably George will be finishing up his complete 4-inch exhaust system for his VRS3. And I'll do part 2 of this video when we connect this harness into the car and start running all the wires individually and showing you what it takes to convert the car to drive-by-wire, adding the flex fuel sensor and everything else back into the car. Thank you guys for watching. My name is Stav. There's no George, so this will be a good video. Later, Malakas.